Hey everyone, welcome back to Uncover Time. Today we're diving into why science isn't just about being right, it's about what science does, how it changes the world. From atomic bombs to bionic spies, from ancient artisans to the Manhattan Project. Science has shaped history in ways you might not expect. Stick around, this is going to blow your mind. For many people, grasping modern science is tough because its mathematical framework is hard to wrap our heads around, and its conclusions often clash with everyday intuition. Out of the world's over 8 billion inhabitants, how many truly understand quantum mechanics, cellular biology, or global economics? Not many. Yet science holds tremendous respect because of the fresh capabilities it unlocks. Presidents and generals might not comprehend nuclear physics, but they sure understand the destructive power of atomic weapons. Back in 1620, Francis Bacon released a groundbreaking scientific manifesto called The New Instrument. He declared, "Knowledge is power." But he didn't just mean memorizing facts. He meant that the value of knowledge lies in its ability to empower us. Scientists generally accept that no theory is perfectly correct, so truth alone isn't the best measure. Instead, the key test is practicality. Does this theory let us achieve new things? That's what counts as real knowledge. Throughout history, science has delivered countless tools. Some were conceptual, like forecasting mortality rates or predicting economic growth. But the most transformative were practical inventions. Over time, the bond between science and technology grew so tight that people often confuse them today. We assume you can't invent new tech without science, and research is useless unless it produces innovations. But here's the shocker. This science-tech partnership is fairly new. Before 1500, the two were completely separate. Bacon's idea of linking them in the 1600s was revolutionary. The connection strengthened in the 1700s and 1800s, but only fully solidified in the 19th century. Even as late as 1800, rulers building armies or tycoons chasing profits rarely funded research in physics, biology, or economics. I'm not saying there were no exceptions. A skilled historian can always dig up one or two, but those were outliers. The broader truth is this: in pre-modern times, leaders and entrepreneurs rarely supported studies of the universe to produce new tech. Thinkers rarely turned insights into gadgets. Governments funded schools mainly to preserve established wisdom and reinforce the status quo. Innovations still happened, but they came from artisans experimenting through trial and error, not academics conducting formal research. Wagon makers produced the same designs year after year without budgeting for R&D. Improvements happened, but usually thanks to a clever craftsman who may never have stepped into a university or even learned to read. This applied to governments too. Today, nations consult scientists for energy, healthcare, even waste management. But ancient regimes rarely did. The gap is clearest in military tech. In 1961, President Dwight Eisenhower warned about the military-industrial complex, but he actually missed a piece. It should have been the military-industrial scientific complex, because modern wars are science-driven today. Global armed forces don't just fight wars, they drive, finance, and guide much of humanity's research. In World War I, trench warfare created a grinding stalemate. Both sides called in scientists to break it. Lab coats answered the call, unleashing fighter planes, toxic gases, tanks, submarines, and deadlier guns, cannons, and explosives. Science's role grew even bigger in World War II. By 1944, Germany was collapsing. But soldiers and civilians still clung to hope for wonder weapons like the V-2 rocket and jet fighters. Meanwhile, in America, the Manhattan Project produced the atomic bomb. When Japan refused to surrender, generals warned Truman that an invasion could cost 1 million lives. He made the fateful choice. 2 nuclear strikes later, Japan surrendered unconditionally, and the war ended. But science isn't just about destruction. It also builds defenses. Many Americans today believe tech, not politics, will solve terrorism. Imagine bionic nanotech spies crawling into caves, or brain scanners at airports spotting hidden rage. Will it work? Maybe not. Is it smart? Not always. But right now, the U.S. Department of Defense is pouring millions into nanotech and neuroscience for exactly these ideas. This fixation on military gadgets is new. Until the 1800s, breakthroughs in war usually came from organization, not tech. When empires clashed, technology rarely decided the outcome. The Arabs didn't defeat the Sassanids with superior weapons. The Seljuks had no tech edge over the Byzantines, and the Mongols conquered China without fancy arms. In fact, losers often had better military tech. Take the Romans. Their army dominated through strict discipline and organization, not superior weapons. Rome never had an R&D division. Its weapons barely changed for centuries. If Scipio Aemilianus's legions, who razed Carthage, had time-traveled 500 years forward to fight Constantine the Great, Scipio might still win. But put Napoleon against modern tanks, he'd be crushed instantly. Genius and elite soldiers wouldn't matter. In China, military invention wasn't the general's job. Gunpowder came from Taoist alchemists searching for immortality, and they used it for fireworks, not weapons. Even as the Song Empire crumbled to Mongols, no ruler launched a medieval Manhattan Project. Cannons only became decisive in the 1400s. 6 centuries later, because rulers, scholars, and merchants didn't see military tech as the path to salvation or profit, things shifted in the 1400s and 1500s. But it took another 200 years before leaders funded weapon R&D seriously. Logistics and tactics still mattered most. Napoleon's juggernaut at Austerlitz in 1805 used weapons similar to Louis XVI's army. Even though he was an artillery expert, Napoleon dismissed inventors pitching flying machines, submarines, or rockets. Only with capitalism and the Industrial Revolution did science, industry, and military tech fuse together. Once linked, this trio reshaped the globe, and they're still reshaping it today. So here's the big takeaway. Science isn't just about understanding the universe. It's about what we do with that understanding. From Roman legions to nuclear bombs, from artisans to nanotech, science has changed the way we fight, the way we live, and the way we imagine the future. And this story isn't over. It's still unfolding right now. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the power of science, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and share it with friends. We'll be back with more mind-blowing stories. Until then, stay curious,